Harry and Meghan Markle are attempting to make a comeback in Hollywood and with the broader public with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Yes, the couple have bombarded us today with a bunch of news from Meghan Markle apparently moderating the closing ceremonies of the Invictus Games for reasons nobody knows. Nobody knows, it's a mystery, but that is what she is doing. And then we also have this new People magazine article talking about how they're flirty and playful, yet it's always Harry going to the beach by himself and is apparently never seen with Meghan. And that the Montecito community, well, they protect the couple, and yet nobody again sees them. And we get a lot of also reports, which People magazine, to its credit, identifies that actually don't like the couple there because of the paparazzi, which I still don't think is a big deal because I doubt there are that many paparazzi in Montecito on the off chance that maybe Harry and Meghan walk past them at some point during the day when they apparently don't leave their house. And then we also have this very, very staged and scripted phone call they do with this group that talks about keeping the world safe online. Now, obviously that is a fool's errand, 100%, but it also looks incredibly fake, and there's a little bit of an odd dynamic between the couple. And so all of this is coming together like a tornado in an attempt in the lead up to Meghan Markle's birthday, hopefully maybe changing the public's narrative, which has been broadly negative towards Harry and Meghan. But is this going to work, or is this an epic disaster in the making? I have my opinions, and I'm going to share them today along with a little bit of commentary, a little bit of news. So if you guys are ready, let's get into it. This is Royal News Network. My name is Brittany. I enjoy royals and I like talking about them and providing some compelling commentary and deep insights that you won't really get anywhere else. So if you want to subscribe, that would be fantastic. I also have memberships available for people who want more, and there's various tiers. People can get an extra live stream, some special badges, all these sorts of things, and more interaction. So if you guys are interested, feel free to check that out. And I also have a weekly newsletter and a fashion channel. And I just did my makeup again, utilizing Royal Beauty products that I purchased to do sort of a beauty product review video. That'll be uploading on Thursday. If you guys are interested in that, feel free again to click the link down below to head over to that channel, only if you are interested though. Now, it's been mostly quiet on the royal front, except for we just got King Charles. He went to a distillery in Scotland, which is, I guess, the furthest north distillery, which is still on the technical main island of Great Britain. All right, I have to say, it's adorable to see Charles in a kilt. It really is. And I know so many of you guys have asked about a trip to Scotland. I have a trip I'm going on with a group of subscribers in early September, which I'm super excited about. We're going to Germany and Austria and going to see a lot of castles, but there's been a lot of requests for Scotland, so I'm thinking about going, but I'm debating. And obviously Charles went to a distillery, and there you can try some of this famous Scottish whiskey and everything. But I am personally more interested in doing a boat tour of Loch Ness. Now, no guarantees, because this is sort of a pre-planned thing, but perhaps I would push for going to Loch Ness and looking for Nessie. Having a little bit of a boat tour. I did it with my parents when I went to Scotland many years ago. I had the best time. There's really cool castle ruins there that I think are super duper awesome. And we got on a boat and we went looking for Nessie. And of course we didn't find Nessie, but just the fun of searching for Nessie, I think, would be half of it. And why are you going to Scotland and not looking for Nessie? That is my thing. So guys, if you are interested in that, or if you want to go see Nessie versus, I may do a poll, but Nessie versus the distillery, and they had like a Highlands museum and a couple other things, but I'm like, I just really kind of want to go see Nessie. So I will put that up there perhaps as an option, and I'll see maybe if the tour company can do it, because I'm all about Nessie, guys. But back to Harry and Meghan, because of course, since there is just not a lot going on in royal world, most of Europe's royals take this month off. There is an opportunity for Harry and Meghan to try to promote themselves after a rather disastrous summer. It's been an epic disaster for them. I did a whole video on that, and I'll probably wait till the end of the summer to really review the whole train wreck that it's been, but it's been an epic train wreck. They lost the Spotify deal. They got called out for doing a fake paparazzi chase in New York. They've had lots of rumors about marital problems, and I'm not hoping for any of that for them because obviously there are children involved in their marriage, but what I think is most interesting, that nobody in the media is all that surprised that they might be having marital problems. And so Harry and Meghan, with all the subtlety of a jackhammer on concrete, decided that today we are going to throw every story up against the wall and try to see what sticks to get people excited about Harry and Meghan again. There's a lot of problems with it, though. There's just so many problems, Number one is Meghan is apparently going to do the ending ceremony at Dusseldorf. Why? Nobody knows. She has no connection to the Invictus Games really beyond her husband. And has this woman ever spent any time with soldiers? Has she ever spent any time reaching out to soldiers? Last time she went to the Invictus Games, you'll remember, it was a gigantic fashion show for her. She showed off $65,000 worth of clothes, including a pair of sunglasses that cost $1,000. Now, I need a new pair of sunglasses because one of mine broke. There's a part of me that wants a designer pair of sunglasses, but there's also a part of me that realizes that it's probably just going to be money down the drain. And those are sunglasses that, cost a couple $100, not $1,000 for sunglasses that look like Ray-Bans. You could go to Ray-Ban and get the exact same pair, I'm sure, for a quarter of the price. But no, Meghan turned it into a giant fashion show. And so she doesn't, I think, have any connection with any of these soldiers either. So why is she doing this? I don't know. It's apparently going to be emotional too. What, is she going to cry up there talking about how great her husband is, who she never knew when he was actually a soldier? Just saying, it's a little silly. Now we go on to this People magazine article, and there are some gems in there. There are some real big gems.
All right, guys, since I filmed this earlier this morning, this is Editing Brittany here, we have gotten so many more crazy stories about Harry and Meghan from People. It's literally insane, the things they're telling us. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So apparently, of course, Meghan doesn't feel like she was supported after her Oprah Winfrey interview. Shocking, right? Who would have guessed the royal family would not appreciate such a blatant violation of their privacy? Then it talks about how Meghan was supportive of Harry through all his strife with his family, and yet still also was rather negative about it at times, and says they've moved on, set up a new life, but hey, don't forget to call their kids prince and princess. And that they are very united when it comes to family values, even though they don't speak to their families for the most part. And talks about the kids' play areas. And there's also a bit talking about how Spotify didn't support them enough. So I will be doing more videos on this because, guys, this is literally the most insane thing. It is the worst PR push I could imagine you do. It's absolutely crazy. It's so bad. And it puts them in such a negative light. And it's so desperate. It just stinks to high heaven. I don't know what WME was thinking about this. This People article makes Harry and Meghan sound utterly deluded and completely unplugged from reality. Just time and time again. And there's also a New York Post piece talking how Meghan was shocked that apparently there's a hierarchy in the monarchy and people put Catherine ahead of her. Honey, all monarchies are hierarchies. All jobs are hierarchies. What is your problem? Just because you both had the title of Duchess, Catherine now has the title of the Princess of Wales, and you knew she was going to have the title of the Princess of Wales. So I will be doing more videos on this, guys. I just wanted to let you know that this situation just keeps devolving into epic levels of craziness.
Harry and Meghan, that they don't seem to understand the irony of their own situation, it's hysterical. Like, they say things and I'm like, really? Do you not understand, like, cause and effect? And that you are saying the thing that you don't like and yet also doing it. It boggles my mind. So let's get into a couple of the things that we see here in this People magazine article. Actually, there are two. One tries to push that their marriage in a good place while talking about how Harry goes off and does his own thing all the time. And then the second one talks about how, well, royal life wasn't for them. But please call our children a prince and princess. Please, heaven forbid you don't call our kids a prince and princess. So this first one says, Harry's a beer and steak and potatoes kind of dude, says a pal. They're playful and flirty when they're hanging out. But do they hang out? That is the question. Goes on to say, Prince Harry regularly is seen by locals at the beach, often accompanied by one of the couple's 3 dogs, Pula. A resident tells people that during a beach visit, the cutest dog dropped his ball by me, and I looked up to ask the owner if I could throw it, and it was Prince Harry. He said, of course, and made small talk while I played and pet the dog. It was so cute. The resident then added the Duke of Sussex didn't wear a hat. I could see his red hair. This is so dumb. It's such a dumb anecdote. And how did you find this person that follows him to the beach and watches him play with his dog? How did you find this person? Especially when, okay, so there's a difference here between you go to an event and the royal is there and they ask you about it. So I went and saw Catherine and William at the Dog and Duck. I got a selfie with Catherine, which was captured by Getty. And then I tweeted my own selfie, and then Getty tweeted a picture of me taking the selfie with Catherine. And so that went rather viral. And I didn't get talked to, but a couple of people who were with me who were more emotional, because I tried to approach it somewhat as a journalist. I really wanted my selfie, but I mostly tried to approach it somewhat as a journalist. Well, she had this big story about this ring that she had that looked like Catherine's, and so she and Catherine talked quite a bit. And so the media asked her about it. How do you find, as People magazine, do you just troll up and down the Montecito beach asking everybody, do you see Prince Harry? Do you see Prince Harry? Do you see Prince Harry? It makes no sense. You literally have to have Harry and Meghan, who People magazine, if you don't know, is basically an entire PR puff piece. That's what it is. You literally have to have somebody from Harry and Meghan's PR team watching this interaction, pulling this person aside going, can you talk to People magazine about this? Tell them how great Harry was with the dog. You need to tell them right now how cute the dog is, how cute Harry is, that he has red hair. It makes no sense. From like a journalistic perspective, it makes no sense, because when it comes to beaches, yes, usually sometimes the same people show up again and again, but beaches are large. I've been to California beaches, they're large, and unless there's like this little corner of the world that Harry goes all the time, is he that well known enough where people are walking down the same beach all the time, talking with him and interacting with him? Because, I mean, it could be anybody who goes down there. It just doesn't make a ton of sense unless literally a member of Harry's PR team pulls this person aside and tells them, we need to, here's my phone, record it right now, and we're going to ship it over to People magazine right now. Right now. Okay. Thank you. That's what this screams to me. And so it's just weird. It's just weird. And again, so Harry's a meat and potatoes kind of guy. Meghan, as far as we're aware, has always tried to be very, very high class. So you have that really, really high class lady and the meat and potato guys who likes to go to the beach without his wife. You're not really striking me as a couple who is, they say they're flirty, but is there any action that indicates that is actually what's happening with them? I don't think so. And so it's weird. It just comes across as weird. And it comes across as very fake. But that's been Harry and Meghan's whole shtick. And so this is obviously as well, I should say, this is from the second article that People put out about this. Next says, they're not into a big scene. They prefer smaller group hangouts at home, karaoke, that sort of thing, says the friend. Of the two, Harry is more frequently out and about. So why is Harry more out and about? I mean, obviously Meghan has the kids at home, but I'm sure they have 12 nannies. So is he out and about because he has things to do? Because he's not really doing anything. He had his book that came out, which he didn't have to write. He just had to tell the guy, and that was done probably months before it was released. He doesn't have an office to go to. So why is he out and about unless he doesn't want to be at home? So they're trying to push against this divorce separation narrative, yet at the same time, you can see cracks. And yes, I like to go out and about. I usually like to go out once a day, maybe go to the gym, go to the grocery store just to do something and just get out of my house because I spend all day home. I take my dog for a walk once a day, obviously. And I do run into people from time to time, but a beach with public access, again, could be very variable in who's there. But Harry being out and about, all I can think of, well, he doesn't want to be at home where work is. Work is at home. His wife is at home. His kids are at his home. Why aren't you at home? If all your stuff, your businesses and everything are at home and nobody's at the office, why are you out and about all the time? It's an interesting question. But when Meghan arrives at school pickup, she talks to everyone. There's no pretense, says a longtime Montecito resident. But again, don't you dare not call her kids a prince and princess. And again, I don't totally buy this either. In the cut, it said it was a surprise when they saw Meghan there. It was a surprise. She didn't go to the school run all that often like she wanted them to think she did. And again, you have all these people who can do all these things for you. Yes, you can still go do the school run. But again, it just doesn't totally fit with other things that we've gotten. And the cut interview, if you remember, I think they were hoping for a much more positive piece. And it was positive in a lot of ways, but there are a lot of subtle undertones and things that the author pointed out that didn't really portray Harry and Meghan in the best light. Some locals wish the couple would more fully engage with the community in Montecito, where Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres, Katy Perry, and Jeff Bridges call home. Quite a lot of people are very protective of them, says the Montecito Journal columnist and local resident Richard Milnards, while others grumbling about the noticeable uptick in paparazzi. So are they all that accepted or not? I mean, you don't even hear that much about it. And it's a small community. And most of the people there was this great quote from this gentleman who said, Montecito is where elephants go to die. It's an old person's community. So they see one paparazzi, I'm sure they're grumbling on their phone, because I actually when we lived somewhere, our neighborhood was actually mostly old people, even though it wasn't set up as an old person's neighborhood, just a lot of retirees and people lived there. There weren't a lot of kids. And so we would go to the pool, the neighborhood pool, and there would be this, every once in a while there would be like this elderly gentleman and we'd be splashing and jumping in and he'd get all grumbly about that. And it's like, well, there are kids in the neighborhood and there are kids wanting to play. We can't all like be around there. And it was a pretty substantial pool, really. I mean, I'd probably go to there now and think it was small, but when I was a kid, it was big. So this gentleman just didn't like that. So I can't think, well, I'm sure a lot of their neighbors are grumbling and complaining because all Harry and Meghan do is attract attention, and negative attention. It's not good attention. It's negative attention. And they're doing nothing to dissuade it either. And this is, I can't remember which article this is from, but I love this. However, there wasn't necessarily a 5-year plan. As one royal insider tells people when they left the UK, royal life wasn't a world they wanted for their family, says the royal insider, noting that their choices reflect that. Everything else flows from that for whatever time period it takes. That's totally wrong. Everything they do mimics what they did as royals. They wanted the royal life, but on their terms. And that's not how this works. You are either a royal or you're not. You're either in the fold or you're out of the fold. Harry and Meghan chose to get out of the fold. And now they're constantly trying to revitalize their image by utilizing what royals do, which dovetails perfectly into the stunt they pulled today, which is calling people who are part of this program for young people who are, it's like a fund for young people, and they send them the money and they're trying to fight against negativity and hatred online. Now, to give them their props, that's a nice thing to consider doing. You know, they're against cyberbullying and everything. But 2 of their sponsors are alleged bullies. Harry and Meghan have been called out multiple times for being bullies. Now, they deny these allegations, but that is what the public sticks with. So you have this program here in cyberspace where you're hoping to create a perfect world. And there was a couple other things that I'll need to grab my notes here so I can grab it. And they are utilizing the 2 people who are least qualified to help them do this. And then promoting the project by using the people that polarizes them the most. That's not the good way to go about your program. Just saying. So here's a couple of things I found interesting from this video. Number 1, it talks about inclusive technology. I don't know about you, but this has been the most inclusive time period in all of human history. Anybody with a computer or a phone can have a voice. And granted, maybe sometimes their voice is small, maybe sometimes their voice is large, but I can't think of any time period in history where it's easier to have an impact on others than right now. 10, 20 years ago, especially 20 years ago, if I had tried to do this thing, it wouldn't have gone anywhere because there wasn't social media. The advent of social media has leveled the playing field for people in a lot of ways. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of negativity that has come out from that. But that is not the fault of the technology as much as it is about human nature. Human nature does not change. Our technology, our resources, our transportation, so many things of our lives have changed since even 100 years ago. But basic human nature does not change. Ergo, there will always be bad apples. There will always be bad apples. There will always be bad actors. There will always be people who utilize something like the internet to make it difficult for other people in their lives. And obviously, cyberbullying is the outcome of that. However, I just don't think Harry and Meghan are as much about helping alleviate the issue of cyberbullying as they are in censoring material they don't like. In the video, I also thought it was interesting that you'll see here, they only call them Harry and Meghan, not the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which they seem to do all the time. So perhaps they got a little bit of a hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Yeah, people don't like that. And people don't really like you making those connections. And I think this is a great point because I'm obviously online. And so I see this, but go ahead and take a listen to this little bit of this clip here.
It was like young people were empowered and emboldened to say things to me online that they would never say to me in person.
Now she's right. The shield of the computer allows you to say something online that you would never say to somebody in person. I get that all the time. I read some of these things, I'm like, wow, oh my gosh, really? And it's something to the effect of, you just have to let it roll off you. And I think the message we should be sending young people and adults is if you can't handle the negativity, then you need to get off the space. If you can't handle it, then social media might not be something that is good for you and something that you can personally manage. And now, while that may eliminate a lot of people from the social media space, the alternative basically is censoring. Because how does this begin? So it begins of a good thing. There's cyberbullying. People are being mean. So let's scrub all the mean comments. And then it goes further on. It's like, well, you know what? You really don't need to see that news story. So we're just going to scrub it. And we've seen this happen. We saw it happen in the last election. Well, we're just going to take that off because people don't need to see it in case they actually believe it, even though maybe it's actually true. And maybe the individual person should have the responsibility for being able to see between fact and fiction. And if we can't do that, that may be an indictment on our education system and not that the fact that there are proliferation of false stories. There's always been false stories. There's always been conspiracies. And if people can't see through that, then that is on them. Not necessarily meaning that we have to censor all the material. What I think is kind of interesting that I've come across is a lot of people think that Meghan Markle wore a fake tiara to her wedding, that the British royal family was like, you know what, no, you don't need a real tiara, we're just gonna give you a fake one. And I've heard versions of this story where they told her, ones that they hadn't told her. And so they put a fake tiara on her head apparently and had her walk down the aisle. And the reasoning behind this is that some people point out that, well, you know, real diamonds, they don't have this rainbow effect. And as I was looking through pictures, I'm working on a video for the Belgian tiaras for Tiara Tuesday, which was yesterday technically, but it'll get out. And I found this out of focus a bit picture of Queen Matilda of the Belgians, and she was wearing one of the largest tiaras within the Belgian collection. And the slightly out of focusness meant I could see rainbows in her jewels. And so I'm like, because I always knew that the fake tiara thing was obviously fake, but I'm like, I knew people were mentioning this and like, well, where's a good example of it? And I'm like, that is a good example. Why in the world would the Belgians trot out a fake tiara? And if the tiara for Meghan was fake because somebody else said that they made a double for every tiara in the British royal collection with fake jewels, why? Nobody knows. And that they apparently, if they gave Meghan a fake one, why wouldn't they give Catherine a fake one? Why wouldn't they give Eugenie a fake one? There's no real reason then for them to not give every woman, every time she wears a tiara, a fake one. But if you started to do that, that would diminish your public image. If Meghan found out that her tiara is fake, don't you think she would be screaming that from the rooftops? And the reason I bring this up is I try to push against that rumor and other ones that I see because I think it's important to deal with what we know for sure happened, not what we're speculating happened. Because Meghan has done a lot in public for us to see that's not very respectful to the monarchy, that really damages her public image. Why not focus on that rather than trying to follow these crazy rabbit trails? But free speech means that people are welcome to have their opinions and I'm welcome to share mine. I'm welcome to back it up, and if they still don't believe me, hey, at least I put my stuff out there. And that's what free speech means, is that you're allowed to believe the earth is flat. You can be totally wrong. I can think you're an idiot for thinking that, but you can think the world is flat, even though we all know it's round. You're welcome to think that. But Harry and Meghan, I think what they want to do through this and other programs is they want to stop any negative stories they don't like. Harry's been adamant about this time and time again. He doesn't like the stories that came out about him and Meghan. He doesn't like any of them, even though some of them were true, even though some of them had very deep facts behind them, even though they were sharing something very specific that the public needed to know, like the fact that Meghan Markle allegedly bullied her staff. Harry wants that scrubbed from the internet. He doesn't want to help protect people from cyberbullying. He wants to shield his wife, who was outed as a bully by her staff members, and so he wants to protect the perpetrator while victimizing the victims again. That's what Harry and Meghan want to do, because if they get their way, that's what will happen. And again, like I was going on about, and I started going on this earlier, once you start censoring small things, the bigger things come easier and easier and easier. You don't need to know about that conflict over there. That's going to be too hard for you to handle. You don't need to know about X story over here. You know what? You don't need to know about that. That's what starts to happen. And that's why free speech is so important. You should be allowed to believe whatever you want, and you should be allowed to say it online, even if it's as stupid as it is. Now, granted, there's exceptions for this, violence, different sort of things. And that's what I wish a lot of these social media companies would do, is focus on horrendous violence, animal abuse, different things that get up on the internet that should not be on the internet. Censoring things with an obviously political agenda behind it. It's not just to protect us, which is how they started. We're just protecting you. Are you protecting me and my interests, or are you really protecting you and your interests? Because once somebody has the power to censor what you see, they can very easily abuse that power very, very quickly. And soon you're only getting a partial story because they won't allow you to see other things. That's what Harry and Meghan are after here. And granted, again, this program could have some valid implications, yet at the same time, I think it could also lead down a very dangerous path, which are what Harry and Meghan are really pursuing. And granted, again, they say, and I appreciate this, create a safe online world for children. So go ahead and take a listen to this little bit here.
And to create a safe online world for young people, for the next generation.
And I think it is important to create a safe world for children, but online is never going to be safe. You can't tame the beast. There's all sorts of things on there that most children should not see. So is it trying to make it safe, or trying to make sure that it's on the burdens on the parents to make sure if they want to protect their children that they don't give them access to certain things? Yes, children can find a way around it, but isn't it also on the parents to make sure their kids don't have access to a cell phone with internet? That they can have a cell phone that calls, but not a cell phone with internet. Because again, I feel much safer knowing I can control what I see and hear, rather than relying on a company to do that for me, because a company has its own agenda. The company is not bound by what I think and feel and believe. The company is bound by its own agenda, and so it's going to do and show me what it wants to show me rather than perhaps what I would want to see. And so I think we need to, as a society, get away from this idea that's a company's job, a person on the other end who's responsible for making sure we're not offended by a certain tweet, rather than making sure that actual dangerous things that are on the internet are scrubbed. And again, I mean like violence, I don't really want to go into too many details because that could get me striked. But you know what I mean? Like actual bad things, rather than that tweet might offend you. So you don't need to see that because that might offend you. That's not what I'm talking about here. And what I thought was interesting too is that this felt very clinical, and Meghan was just the same throughout. She's just smiling the whole time. And Harry was talking more, and Harry seemed more engaged, and she basically was frozen. She was a frozen figure throughout the whole video, which I thought was a little bit odd. And it didn't seem like Meghan really looked at Harry in the eyes, whereas he was trying to catch her attention. So you almost get this feeling that she's sort of pulling back from him, and he's still trying to get at it, trying to get her to pay attention to him. But overall, I thought Meghan was very disengaged from the conversations, and bringing up Archie and Lily. Well, your kids now will have a safe internet. Well, I mean, there's 4 and 2. They should not have any internet access. And granted, yes, parents put, an iPad up so their kids can watch something from time to time, which I'm sure Harry and Meghan do, like most parents do. But at the same time, it's also your job to protect your children. It's not a company's job. It's not a company's job, because they have their own interests, and there's so many things on the internet. The internet, I think the best way to think of it is the internet is not a safe place, because it is full of terrible, horrible things. And your job as a consumer is to help yourself stay as safe as possible. And that's not easy. And yes, your identity can get stolen, and yes, your credit card number can be compromised, but I don't think that's something we can totally control because the internet is not controllable. The control would require a massive amount of censorship and some sort of centralized control that limits perhaps channels like mine. If Harry and Meghan had their way, my channel wouldn't be active. My Twitter wouldn't be active because I'm too mean to Meghan Markle. And I don't think I'm necessarily mean. Hey, I'm one of the ones trying to say no, she didn't use the surrogate. No, that she did have a real tiara. So I tried to be as fair as possible. But Harry and Meghan don't appreciate that because they don't want any negative stories out about them. But that is the nature of the internet beast. The internet beast means that things come out about you that you don't like. There was like I think a TikTok, I was trying to search out what does people say about Royal News Network. And I saw TikTok and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna watch it because it's not good for me to see it. And it would probably just aggravate me because being on the internet, having a, you could say, public profile, this is not for the faint of heart. This is rough. People say mean things because there's no barrier between them. So all you can do is either have fun with it or just be exceptionally good at compartmentalizing. And I'm pretty good at that, and I know not everybody is. And if you're not one of those people, then I would not suggest having a career like this because it is pretty brutal. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of the Sussexes bringing in a PR cyclone to try to get us to like Meghan Markle again. Will it work? What does the future hold for Harry and Meghan? And do you think their marriage is in a good place? Because the People magazine article, which is supposedly there to tell us they're in a good place, shows us that they're clearly not in a good place. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.